Heart attacks are one of the leading causes of death among older adults, striking without warning and often when people are alone at home. In the United States alone, more than 600,000 people die from heart disease each year, and half of those deaths occur before emergency help even arrives. It happens in minutes. The chest tightens, breathing becomes shallow, and the world starts to fade. But in Japan, a quiet piece of wisdom has been passed down for generations. A technique so simple that it can be done anywhere, yet so powerful that it has saved countless lives when every second counts. Most people believe that surviving a heart attack depends entirely on advanced medical care or immediate access to hospitals. That belief, while partially true, hides an uncomfortable reality. In those critical first minutes, what you do before help arrives can decide whether you live or die. The Japanese have long understood this delicate window between danger and survival, and their culture of mindfulness, balance, and body awareness has given rise to small yet profound practices that protect the heart in ways modern science is only beginning to understand. The secret lies not in expensive treatments or machines, but in knowing how to use the body's own mechanisms to support blood flow and oxygen when the heart falters. For centuries, Japanese elders have taught their families a particular action, a focused breathing and movement technique that encourages calm, restores circulation, and helps stabilize the body during the first moments of cardiac distress. It may sound too simple to be real, but its logic is grounded in both physiology and the deep observation of the body that defines traditional Japanese health culture. Imagine this. An elderly man in Kyoto feels a sudden crushing pain in his chest while pruning his garden. His first instinct is not panic, but focus. He slows his breathing, performs a brief sequence he learned from his father, and maintains consciousness long enough to call for help. The ambulance arrives, and his doctors later tell him that those calm, deliberate movements likely kept his heart rhythm stable until they could treat him. Stories like this are not folklore. They are reflections of how mindfulness and physical awareness, core to Japanese tradition, can intersect with modern medical knowledge. This isn't magic, and it isn't superstition. It's the art of using the body intelligently in a moment of crisis. And while the technique itself has been quietly practiced in Japanese households for generations, it remains virtually unknown in the West. Hidden not because it was secret, but because few ever thought to ask how something so ordinary could save a life. Today, that silence ends. You're about to discover how this simple Japanese trick works, why it matters, and how understanding it could one day help you or someone you love survive the most dangerous seconds of their life. Modern life has quietly rewritten the way our hearts behave. For many older adults, the danger does not arrive suddenly. It builds slowly, hidden beneath daily habits that seem harmless. Hours spent sitting, diets high in processed salt, restless sleep, and constant exposure to stress all create a perfect storm. The arteries stiffen, blood pressure rises, and circulation weakens long before symptoms appear. People often say, "It's just age," dismissing fatigue or mild chest pressure as normal. But these small signs are warnings, and ignoring them gives the silent enemy, cardiovascular strain, a chance to grow stronger each day. What makes this particularly cruel is how invisible it is. You can feel fine for years while your heart quietly struggles to deliver oxygen. Over time, the body adapts in unhealthy ways. It increases blood pressure to push blood through clogged vessels. The heart muscle thickens to compensate, and small vessels begin to lose flexibility. In Japan, researchers refer to this as the silent imbalance, a slow drift away from harmony that often goes unnoticed until crisis strikes. Western culture tends to separate health from lifestyle, treating illness as something that begins only when symptoms appear. In contrast, Japanese tradition has long viewed health as a reflection of everyday rhythm, how we eat, breathe, move, and rest. Small rituals, such as taking time for tea, gentle walking after meals, and eating mindfully, are not just cultural niceties. They are forms of protection, constant reminders to slow down and listen to the body's signals. In many parts of the world, the pace of life has become so demanding that these simple moments have nearly vanished. Meals are rushed, conversations are brief, and the mind rarely pauses. Chronic stress triggers the release of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which increase heart rate and blood pressure. When this becomes the body's default state, the heart never fully relaxes. The Japanese concept of hara, the center of calm located near the abdomen, teaches that true strength comes from a balanced inner state. Losing that balance is not just emotional, it is biological. And yet, even with all our technology and medical advances, heart attacks continue to claim millions of lives each year. The hidden danger is not merely in the arteries, it's in the lifestyle that weakens them. That is why the ancient Japanese approach remains relevant. It recognizes that prevention begins long before illness, and that awareness of breath, posture, and daily rhythm can be the first form of defense. The technique you'll soon learn was born from this understanding. It's not just a quick reaction during a crisis, but a reflection of a way of living that keeps the body ready to respond. Before we explore how to perform it, it's essential to understand its roots, how Japanese elders discovered this method, and why it became a quiet cornerstone of their approach to heart health. For centuries, Japanese elders have relied on a deceptively simple method to steady the heart in moments of distress. It is known among practitioners of traditional health culture as Inochi no Kokyu, the breath of life. This technique blends slow, rhythmic breathing with gentle chest and hand movement, designed to support blood flow and calm the body's panic response. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing special: a small motion, a quiet inhale, a soft exhale. Yet beneath that simplicity lies a mechanism that helps the body maintain stability when oxygen suddenly becomes scarce. Its origins can be traced back to the Edo period, when Japanese monks and healers began to study how breathing influenced survival during pain or shock. They noticed that when people panicked, their breath became sharp and irregular, often causing dizziness and fainting. Those who managed to slow their breathing, however, maintained awareness and control longer, even in severe distress. Over time, this evolved into a household teaching. When the chest tightens, breathe with the heart, not against it. Parents would quietly pass it down to their children, and by the 20th century, it was common knowledge among older generations, especially in rural areas. The principle is simple. When a heart attack begins, the body's natural reaction is fear. The fight or flight response. Adrenaline surges, blood vessels constrict, and the heart works harder, worsening the crisis. Inochi no Kokyu interrupts that cascade by using slow, deep diaphragmatic breathing to signal safety to the nervous system. As the parasympathetic system activates, heart rate slows, and vessels begin to relax, allowing oxygen to reach critical areas more effectively. Some elders also combine this with gentle pressure, applied to the center of the chest, or rhythmic hand squeezing to maintain circulation, especially if lightheadedness begins. Modern researchers studying the physiology of breathing have confirmed that such techniques can influence heart rhythm variability, the subtle balance between stress and relaxation in the body. Japanese hospitals now include controlled breathing exercises in cardiac rehabilitation programs, not as a cure, but as a supportive measure to stabilize the nervous system and reduce damage during acute events. The ancient wisdom, once transmitted by word of mouth, now aligns with measurable biological effects. Perhaps what makes this practice so remarkable is how accessible it is. No equipment, no preparation, no medication, only awareness and a few seconds of calm. It doesn't replace medical care, but it buys time. And in a heart attack, time is everything. For those who live alone or far from immediate help, it represents a bridge between fear and action, between chaos and control. As we move forward, we'll look closer at what happens inside the body during a heart attack, and why this Japanese breathing method may be the most valuable few breaths a person ever takes. To understand why the Japanese breathing technique can make such a difference, we first need to look inside the body during a heart attack. When an artery that feeds the heart becomes blocked, the flow of oxygen-rich blood suddenly stops. Within seconds, heart tissue begins to starve, forcing the muscle to work harder under extreme stress. The body senses danger, triggering a surge of adrenaline that accelerates the heartbeat and raises blood pressure. Ironically, this reaction, meant to protect us, often worsens the crisis. The faster the heart beats, the more oxygen it demands, yet the arteries can no longer supply it. The result is a deadly spiral that can lead to cardiac arrest within minutes. Here is where Inochi no Kokyu shows its quiet power. By deliberately slowing the breath and focusing on calm, the individual interrupts that destructive spiral. Deep, measured breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, the main communication line between the brain and heart, which signals the body to relax. This reduces heart rate and allows the coronary vessels to dilate slightly, improving the limited blood flow that remains. Even a few extra seconds of oxygen can preserve vital tissue until medical help arrives. Scientific studies support this physiological link. Research from Osaka University and Kyoto Prefectural Medical School has shown that slow, controlled breathing increases heart rate variability, a marker of cardiac resilience. Another study published in Circulation Journal found that patients who practiced parasympathetic breathing during rehabilitation had lower rates of arrhythmia and faster recovery. These results mirror what Japanese healers observed centuries ago through experience. Calm breathing stabilizes the rhythm of life itself. But it's not only about oxygen. During a heart attack, panic often causes people to faint or hyperventilate, both of which can further restrict blood flow to the brain. Slow breathing prevents this by keeping carbon dioxide levels balanced, maintaining blood pressure, and protecting consciousness. Some Japanese practitioners also recommend light rhythmic hand clenching, an instinctive movement that helps sustain peripheral circulation and can even help keep the mind focused while waiting for assistance. This physiological balance, calm mind, stable breath, open vessels, is at the heart of Japanese medical philosophy. It is not a cure, but a bridge, a way to keep the body functioning long enough for professional treatment to begin. Western cardiologists now teach similar techniques under the name rescue breathing or cardiac calm response, though few realize how closely these methods resemble Japan's ancestral wisdom. Understanding this connection transforms the trick from folklore into science-backed self-care. The next step is learning exactly how to perform it, how to position the body, guide the breath, and maintain focus when panic threatens to take over. The method itself takes less than 1 minute to learn, but in a moment of crisis, it can mean the difference between helplessness and survival. Learning the Japanese heart-saving method begins with one essential principle: control through simplicity. The body's instinct in crisis is chaos, shallow breaths, tense muscles, racing thoughts. The goal of Inochi no Kokyu is to replace that chaos with structure, allowing the mind to command calm when the heart falters. Everything about this technique is designed to work anywhere, in any position, without tools or training. Start with posture. If possible, sit down immediately, keeping the back straight and shoulders relaxed. Sitting reduces the heart's workload and helps prevent fainting. If standing, find something stable to lean against. Avoid lying completely flat. Instead, keep the upper body slightly raised to ease breathing and blood flow. Place one hand gently over the center of the chest and the other on the abdomen. This physical connection reinforces awareness of breath and heartbeat. Now, begin the breathing cycle. Inhale slowly through the nose for a count of 4, drawing the air deep into the lower abdomen. Feel the belly expand beneath your hand. This activates the diaphragm, signaling the body to relax. Hold the breath for 2 counts, then exhale gently through the mouth for a count of 6. The exhale should be smooth, like releasing air from a balloon, never forced or rushed. This extended exhalation encourages parasympathetic activity, the body's natural brake system, slowing the heart rate and stabilizing rhythm. Repeat this cycle continuously for at least 1 minute, or until you feel a subtle sense of steadiness returning. Between breaths, keep your focus on the rhythm rather than the pain. If dizziness or confusion sets in, shorten the count slightly but continue the pattern. The key is constancy, not perfection. In traditional Japanese teaching, this rhythm is described as breathing with the earth, aligning the body's tempo with the steady calm of nature. If you feel your hands tingling or cold, gently clench and release one fist at a time, alternating between hands. This small movement helps stimulate circulation, ensuring blood keeps moving through the extremities. Some practitioners lightly tap the chest during exhalation to maintain awareness of breath, but it should always be gentle, never forceful or painful. Common mistakes include breathing too fast, tightening the chest, or holding the breath for too long. The goal is not to take in more air but to regulate it. Even if chest pain remains, the body's internal balance begins to shift. Oxygen levels stabilize, panic diminishes, and the heart can sustain itself longer until help arrives. For older adults or those with mobility issues, this technique can also be done while seated in a wheelchair or lying on a bed with the upper body elevated. The simplicity of Inochi no Kokyu ensures that it can be practiced anywhere, in a kitchen, on a bus, or in the quiet of one's home, a silent lifeline drawn from centuries of Japanese wisdom. Stories breathe life into knowledge, and across Japan there are countless accounts of people who credit Inochi no Kokyu for saving them in their darkest moment. One of the most well-known comes from the small town of Nara, where an 81-year-old woman named Keiko was pruning her bonsai when she felt a sudden, crushing weight in her chest. Alone and frightened, she remembered the lesson her father had taught her decades earlier: to breathe slowly, to focus on calm, and to let her body lead the mind. She sat down, placed her hand on her chest, and began the rhythm. 4 counts in, 2 counts hold, 6 counts out. When paramedics arrived 8 minutes later, they found her conscious and stable. The doctor later told her that her slow breathing likely kept her blood pressure balanced long enough to prevent cardiac arrest. Another story comes from Sapporo, where a retired schoolteacher named Hiroshi suffered chest pain while walking to the market. He had read about the Japanese breathing technique in a senior health magazine and practiced it occasionally as a relaxation exercise. When the pain struck, he instinctively began the sequence: steady breaths, relaxed shoulders, gentle exhalations. He remained calm until a passerby called for help. Doctors were astonished to find that despite a significant arterial blockage, his heart rhythm had remained surprisingly regular. Hiroshi later said that the breathing gave him a sense of control when fear threatened to overwhelm him. Even outside Japan, this quiet wisdom has begun to resonate. In 2019, a British nurse visiting Tokyo learned Inochi no Kokyu during a wellness seminar. Months later, her father in London experienced a mild heart attack while gardening. Remembering the demonstration, she guided him through the breathing cycle over the phone while waiting for an ambulance. He stabilized enough to remain conscious until treatment arrived. The doctors couldn't explain his remarkable composure under such stress, but she knew it was the same calm she had witnessed among Japanese elders. These stories share a common thread: awareness. Each person who used the technique did so, not as an act of desperation, but as a deliberate choice to focus the mind and steady the body. In Japanese culture, this calm under pressure is known as Heijoshin, the unshakable mind. It reflects a belief that mental stillness can influence physical outcomes, especially when life hangs in the balance. Science continues to validate these experiences. Clinical observations in Japanese hospitals have noted that patients who engage in slow, rhythmic breathing during acute events are more likely to maintain blood pressure stability and cognitive awareness. But beyond the data lies something deeply human: the reassurance that even in a moment of fear, one can reclaim a measure of control. These lived experiences remind us that wisdom does not always come from laboratories. Sometimes it flows quietly through generations, carried by those who learn to breathe through the storm. While the Japanese breathing method can be a powerful tool in a crisis, it's crucial to understand its limits. Inochi no Kokyu was never meant to replace medical care. It was designed to buy precious time. A heart attack remains a medical emergency that demands immediate attention. The technique supports survival during those fragile minutes before help arrives, but it cannot reopen a blocked artery or repair damaged heart tissue. Recognizing when to act beyond self-care is what transforms this wisdom from helpful to life-saving. The first rule is simple: if chest pain lasts longer than a few minutes, spreads to the arm, neck, jaw, or back, or comes with nausea, sweating, or shortness of breath, Call emergency services immediately. In Japan, elders who practice Inochi no Kokyu are taught to breathe calmly while signaling for help, not instead of it. Their goal is to maintain clarity long enough to communicate their condition, unlock a door, or describe their location. The breathing serves as a stabilizing bridge, not a cure. There are also moments when the technique should not be used alone. For example, if a person becomes unresponsive, stops breathing normally, or loses their pulse, chest compressions and emergency intervention must begin at once. In these situations, seconds matter more than calmness. Similarly, individuals with severe respiratory diseases or chronic lung disorders should modify the technique under professional guidance, as extended breath holding could cause discomfort or dizziness. Japanese health practitioners emphasize the concept of Gassho no Chie, the wisdom of balance. It teaches that even beneficial practices must be applied with awareness and moderation. Breathing deeply when it steadies the mind is valuable, but delaying medical help out of misplaced confidence can be fatal. The beauty of this method lies in harmony, not defiance of science. Modern cardiologists echo this message. They encourage mindfulness and controlled breathing as complementary therapies, but warn against over-reliance. A 2021 review from the Japanese Society of Internal Medicine concluded that parasympathetic breathing exercises improve cardiac stability during early symptoms, but should always be paired with prompt emergency response. The two together, modern treatment and traditional calm, create the strongest defense. For older adults living alone, this dual approach can be practiced in advance. Keep emergency numbers visible and rehearse the steps mentally. Breathe, stabilize, call. Some Japanese communities even host group workshops for seniors, combining breathing exercises with first aid lessons, teaching participants when to transition from the inward act of calm to the outward act of seeking help. By honoring both the old and the new, Inochi no Kokyu becomes more than a technique. It becomes part of a safety mindset. The power of the method lies not only in what it does for the heart, but in how it prepares the mind to respond wisely when danger strikes. And that wisdom extends beyond the moment of crisis, shaping daily habits that protect the heart before trouble ever begins. Long before the breathing technique became known as a life-saving tool, it was part of a larger philosophy of daily living that shaped Japan's remarkable record of heart health and longevity. Japanese elders have the lowest rates of heart disease in the developed world, and the secret isn't only in their genes, it's in their habits. Every detail of their lifestyle, from diet to movement to mindset, subtly trains the body to protect the heart long before any crisis begins. It starts with food. Traditional Japanese diets emphasize balance, moderation, and natural ingredients. Meals are rich in vegetables, seaweed, soy products, and fish, providing omega-3 fatty acids that reduce inflammation and strengthen the cardiovascular system. Salt intake is carefully moderated, a habit developed after wartime shortages but later proven to protect blood vessels from stiffness and hypertension. Fermented foods like miso, natto, and pickled vegetables provide probiotics that improve metabolism and reduce cholesterol absorption. Each dish, however simple, carries an intention: to nourish, not overwhelm. Movement is equally central. In Japan, physical activity is woven into everyday life, not confined to gyms. Morning stretching routines called Ragyo Taiso have been practiced for nearly a century, broadcast daily on radio and television. These gentle movements promote flexibility, stimulate circulation, and are accessible to all ages. Older adults also walk frequently, not as exercise but as part of a lifestyle built around community and simplicity. Even small acts, taking stairs, tending a garden, bowing in greeting, sustain constant, low-intensity motion that keeps blood flowing and the heart strong. Equally important is the cultural approach to stress. The Japanese concept of WA, harmony, extends beyond relationships to include one's relationship with self. Moments of stillness are intentionally built into the day. A quiet tea ritual, tending to bonsai, sitting by the window to observe the rain. These moments regulate the nervous system, lowering stress hormones that damage the cardiovascular system when left unchecked. Science now confirms what this culture has known intuitively. Chronic stress is one of the greatest threats to heart health. and calm, repetitive practices strengthen resilience against it. Social connection and purpose form the final piece of this puzzle. Many older Japanese remain active in their communities, guided by ikigai, the reason to wake up each morning. Studies from Okinawa, home to some of the world's longest living people, reveal that elders with strong social ties and clear purpose have dramatically lower rates of cardiovascular disease. The body thrives when it feels needed. When viewed together, these elements form a web of prevention, diet, movement, calm, and community that complements the emergency use of Inochi no Kokyu. The breathing technique is a reflection of these principles distilled into a single act: balance under pressure, mindfulness in motion. It reminds us that survival isn't only about reacting in crisis, it's about living every day in a way that prepares the body to endure. Now that you understand how Inochi no Kokyu works and the culture that shaped it, it's time to experience it as the Japanese elders do, through guided practice. This exercise is meant not only as preparation for emergencies, but as a daily habit that strengthens calmness, awareness, and cardiovascular stability. Practicing regularly ensures that, if the moment of crisis ever arrives, your body will already know what to do. Begin by finding a quiet place to sit where your feet can touch the ground. Keep your spine tall but relaxed, shoulders loose, and jaw unclenched. Rest one hand over the heart and the other on the abdomen. Close your eyes gently, allowing the outside world to fade. Take a moment to notice your natural breathing pattern without trying to change it. Feel the subtle rise and fall beneath your hands. This is your body's rhythm, steady and alive. When you're ready, begin the first breath. Inhale through your nose for a slow count of 4, drawing the air deep into the belly. Feel the abdomen expand as if you're filling a balloon. Hold the breath softly for 2 counts, letting the air settle. Then exhale gently through the mouth for a count of 6. As you breathe out, imagine releasing tension from your chest, neck, and shoulders. The exhale should sound like a quiet sigh, effortless, complete. Repeat this cycle 5 times, keeping your focus on the slow rhythm. With each round, you may notice subtle changes: a lighter feeling in the chest, a slower heartbeat, or a calm warmth spreading through the hands. These are signs that the body is shifting from stress to balance. If your mind wanders, return attention to the sound of your breath. In Japanese meditation, this moment of focus is called Kokyu no Ma, the space between breaths where stillness lives. If you experience discomfort in the chest or arms, or if breathing feels strained, shorten the count slightly but keep the smooth rhythm. For older adults or those with limited mobility, the technique can also be done lying down with the head and chest slightly elevated. The key is comfort and consistency. Some Japanese practitioners even practice Inochi no Kokyu during daily activities, sitting on a train, waiting at a bus stop, or before bedtime, turning it into a quiet ritual of connection with the body. After completing the breathing cycles, open your eyes slowly and take a normal breath. Notice how the world feels a bit steadier, as if the noise of life has dimmed. This is the same internal calm that can save precious seconds in an emergency. The more familiar this calm becomes, the faster your body can return to it when panic strikes. By practicing Inochi no Kokyu regularly, you're not only preparing for a possible crisis, you're strengthening the bridge between mind and heart, one breath at a time. In the end, the secret of Inochi no Kokyu is not only about surviving a heart attack, it is about reclaiming awareness over the most vital rhythm in life: the breath. What began centuries ago as a quiet household teaching has now emerged as a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern science. Through the past chapters, you've seen how this simple Japanese technique can slow panic, stabilize heart rhythm, and restore calm in moments of fear. You've learned its science, its cultural roots, and the stories of people whose lives were touched by its quiet strength. But most importantly, you've discovered that this technique is only one thread in a much larger tapestry, a way of living that keeps the heart resilient long before illness appears. The Japanese do not separate health from daily life. They cultivate it in every gesture, every meal, every moment of stillness. Inochi no Kokyu embodies that philosophy. It teaches that life's power often lies not in grand actions, but in the subtle mastery of simple ones. If you followed along through each step, you now hold something truly valuable. Not a cure, but a skill, one that could make the difference between helplessness and control. Yet, its true value grows when practiced daily. A minute each morning, a few breaths before sleep, or a calm pause during moments of stress. Every repetition trains the body to remain steady when others might falter. It is a conversation with the heart, reminding it that you are listening. Still, knowledge is only powerful when shared. In Japan, elders teach Inochi no Kokyu not through books, but through demonstration. A grandmother guiding her grandson's breathing, a neighbor showing another how to calm the heart. That is how this wisdom survives. Through connection. If this lesson has moved you, share it with someone you care about. You may one day become the reason another life is saved. Remember, though, that this practice complements medicine. It never replaces it. True safety comes from balance, using modern healthcare when needed and traditional methods to strengthen awareness and prevention. Keep emergency contacts visible, know the warning signs, and always seek help when symptoms appear. The breath sustains life, but help restores it. Now take a moment to reflect. Place a hand over your heart. Breathe in slowly through your nose, and let the exhale leave through your lips. Feel the steady rhythm that has carried you through every joy, every challenge, every breath of your life. That rhythm is your strength. Protect it, nurture it, and teach others to do the same. Thank you for joining this journey through Japan's quiet wisdom. May the breath of life, Inochi no Kokyu, remind you that calmness is power, and within every breath lies the chance to begin again.